Welcome to EasyViz, and today we're diving into the world of Tableau and transforming its mundane date filter into something truly spectacular. Say goodbye to the dull out-of-the-box options and get ready to explore an interactive and visually stunning calendar filter that'll impress all your stakeholders. Let's get into it. To start, I've just set up a very straightforward dashboard with some basic visualizations and filters using the Superstore dataset. We've all seen these basic filters that slice and dice our dashboard, and inevitably you're going to come across a date filter. Whether you're using Tableau's out-of-the-box filter or a custom parameter, it all looks rather boring. Wouldn't it be cool if we could make a custom interactive calendar and use that as a filter instead? The first thing that we're going to need is some sort of date column that contains every single date. Now, you might be tempted to use the date that's in your data, but unless you're sure that contains every single date, I would create a custom calendar table. Now, generally, if you're working in an organization, in a database, they should have a calendar table somewhere that you can use. For our example, I've just built one in Excel. It's just a single column calendar date, and it has every single date from the 1st of Jan 2017 all the way down to the 31st of December 2024. And we're going to put this into the Tableau data source. Back to our dashboard, navigate to data sources, click add, search for an Excel file, find your calendar file, or link this to your database's calendar table. Once you've done that, simply drag in your calendar table. I'm going to rename mine to calendar. Then we're going to define the relationship. So from the orders, we're going to look for order date, and in our calendar, we're going to link that to calendar date. In the performance options sections, I know I have many order dates for every one calendar date. To verify that this link is working properly, let's create a new sheet. Let's add the calendar date in as a column, right-click, drag into rows, and select discrete. Then just drag any measure into the text area. I'm going to use quantity. And you can see it's all blank from 2017. That's because the data doesn't start from back there. But if we scroll down, you can see the data starts appearing. And if you get data, that means your link is working. Now, the reason we use the separate calendar table, as you can see, there is definitely gaps in the data, and we need all the dates for the calendar to work. Now, if we take a second and think about what a calendar really is, it's actually just a table with rows and columns. The columns represent the day of the week, and the rows represent the number of the week. For example, this is the first week in the month. This is the second, third, fourth, and fifth week. That just means in Tableau, we need something in the column section that represents the day of the week, and something in the row section that represents the week number of the month. Instead of just giving you the formula for the row and columns, I'm going to work through this step by step so you can have a better understanding of what's going on behind the scenes. Let's start simple. The first thing we're going to need is the day of the month. So create a new calculated field, call this day, and enter the formula day of calendar date. I'm going to right click and convert this to a dimension, and then I'm going to drag it into my rows. So now we can see we have the day of the month. The next column I'm going to make is the name of this day. So create a calculated field, and we're going to call this day name. We use the formula date name, weekday, and calendar date. Let's drag this in. And now you can see we have the name of the day. I'm going to edit this formula to shorten the date name to just the first three characters by using a left function. So I'm just taking the first three characters on the left. In fact, this day name field we just created is going to act as our column for our calendar later. For the rows, we need to figure out what week in the month each of these dates are. So for example, this Sunday would be the first week, and then starting at Monday to Sunday again would be the second week, and then Monday to Sunday again would be the third week, etc. To do this, we need to convert this day name into a numerical day of the week. Theoretically, you should just be able to create a calculated field with a formula using date part, weekday, and the calendar date. And we'll call this day of week. Right click and convert that to a dimension and drag it into your table. We can see, however, that the days of the week start on a Sunday, being 1, and going up to a Saturday being 7, and then resetting. If you want your weekday to start on a particular day like Monday, in theory, you should just be able to edit your formula and add in an extra parameter for the start of the week being Monday. However, that doesn't change anything for me for some reason. I'm not sure if this is a glitch. The other thing that people have suggested is you can go into the data and select the date property and change the week start to a Monday. But again, for me, that doesn't work. So I'm going to give you a more robust formula to use. Right-click your day of the week formula and edit, and put in the formula like this. It just basically says if the day name is Sunday, then 7, day name is Saturday, then 6, etc, etc, etc. And this gives you full control of the day name and avoids any bugs that might happen in Tableau. Now we can clearly see our week starts from a Monday being 1, going all the way up to 7 for a Sunday, and then resetting for the next week. So how do we get from this column to the week number? Well, we can use this column and the actual day of the month to create a formula that will give us the correct result we want. And I'm going to do this step by step so that you can see what's actually happening. Create a new formula, call it week number, and let's just start by subtracting the day of the week from the day. Right click and convert that to a dimension, and let's drag that into our table. So you can see by simply subtracting the day of the week from the day, we're actually banding our weeks together into different numbers. But instead of these random numbers, I really would like my weeks to just say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Let's start by getting rid of this negative. Right click and edit your week number. And let's just add 7. Now we can see our week starts from a positive number and then it goes up by lots of 7. Next, we're going to divide this whole number by 7. So right click and edit, and we're just going to put some brackets around this whole formula and then just divide it by 7. Now, ignoring the scary decimals in the back, you can see the whole number in the front is actually giving us the correct week almost. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So let's edit the week number again and remove the decimal by using an int formula. So we're almost there. Our week currently starts from week 0, but we want it to start from week 1. So let's just right click edit again and just simply add a 1 to this formula. Now you can see our week starts from week 1, and then the first set of Monday to Sunday goes into week 2. The next one goes into week 3, 4, 5, etc. Now our week number is going to be our rows for our calendar, and our day of the week is going to be the columns for our calendar. So let's create a new worksheet. Now let's drag in our day name to columns and our week number to rows to see how that looks. And we can already see this table is kind of looking like a calendar, which is great. Now, since we only ever want to be displaying 1 month at a time, we're going to need to be able to filter that. So let's create 2 new formulas. First formula, we're going to create the month name, and that is just going to be a date name function again for the month of the calendar date. Then we're going to create a formula for the year. That's just going to be date part year of the calendar. Right click and convert that to a dimension. Drag those new fields you just created into the filter section and just select all for now. Right click and show filter. And I'm just going to make my filters into drop downs to make it easier. Finally, let's drop day into text. And now you can see this table behaves exactly like a calendar. We can switch the month, we can switch the year, and it all works. Now let's start making our calendar look more like a calendar. So first we're going to expand the rows a little bit to make the boxes a bit more square. Then we can hide the week number, right click and uncheck show header. Then let's center the text. So click the text button and align it to the middle and vertically in the middle as well. Right click this day name heading and hide the field label for columns. Next, let's make these borders visible. So right click anywhere in the calendar, click format, select the borders section. In the rows tab, select cell and just make it a light gray color. Do the same in columns. And that's looking very much like a calendar, although feel free to format this however you like. Although this will perfectly work as a filter in its current state, why not use this opportunity to use this calendar as a visualization as well? Let's see what happens if we just drag one of our metrics such as quantity into the color section. Let's switch it to a month and year that actually has data, such as 2020, January. You can see the colors of the days are now heat mapped to the metric that you selected. Let's change our marks to square to make that a little bit more clearer. And now you can see our calendar acts as a heat map, and we can see the higher quantity sales on darker days. One little issue is that there are days with no sales and they're just heat mapped to the lowest value, but ideally we'd like to show these as white. Go to your legend and edit the colors. Select any of the colors that have a white diverging. I'm going to use red, green, white diverging. Use the full color range, go to advanced and center it at 0. So now we can see that our highest values are dark green, and it will go down to a light green where there are values, and for days where there are no values, it just shows as white. The final step is just to remove these tooltips. You go to your tooltips and uncheck show tooltips. That's looking really good, and we are ready to use this in our dashboard now. So let's rename this sheet to calendar filter. Let's head back to our dashboard and we'll just simply drag the calendar into the filter section. We don't need this heat map. Let's click our calendar and we'll fit it to the entire view, and we will remove the title. Now I'm just going to drag my calendar up a bit to resize. And I just want my month and the year to be above the calendar. You might need to add in a blank section to make your calendar the correct size. And that's all looking really nice. So we can select the different years, we can select the different months, and we can click on our calendar to interact with it. Now to make your calendar function as a filter, you just simply have to click on it and click this use as filter button. And you can see it is indeed now filtering the rest of our dashboards. However, we have a problem. It's only filtering the day. When I click the 16th, it filters the 16th of any month. So we also need our filter to filter the year and the month. To resolve this issue, we need to go back to the calendar filter and right-click drag our calendar date into the details square. Then select discrete. And if we go back to our dashboard and now we select the 16th, we can see it only filters for that one day. And that's it. We have a cool little calendar filter that looks a lot better than the order date filter, which we can get rid of now. We can select the year, we can select the month. We're using it as a nice little heat map for the metric that we selected. We can very easily see the hot days, such as the 13th would have been the most quantity of sales. We can click it, it'll filter our data down. We can even control click it to select multiple days at a time. It all works. Hopefully you guys, being the creative analysts you are, can find some very creative uses for a filter like this in your dashboards. If you've enjoyed this video, leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.